Hello everyone. In this series of sessions, we'll be talking about different functions that are available in Tableau. We'll be starting with the string functions. Tableau offers a variety of string functions that allows you to manipulate and transform the text data into your visualization and calculation. Here are some of the commonly used string functions available in Tableau. The first one is the replace. Second is the char, max, ASCII, ltrim, state, find, contains, minimum, trim, space, ends with, starts with, lower, right, atrium, mid, upper, left, and length. Now, these are all the string functions that are available in Tableau. We have already talked about what is a string kind of data, and let's see with the help of these particular functions how we can control these different strings that are present in our data. So the first one is the ASCII function. Now, what is a ASCII function? So every alphabet that is present in the dictionary is having some different ASCII value. This ASCII value is based on these alphabets. For example, capital A would be having some different ASCII value and small a would be having some different ASCII value. If you want to see the ASCII value of the first word in that particular string, you can apply this ASCII function just ahead of it and it would return the value of that word which is present. So let's say capital A is having the ASCII value of 65. So it would be showing you the value as 65. Next is the char function. This char functions, what it do is it works completely opposite to the ASCII function. Here, you can pass any integer in this char function and it would return you the value. And based on that value, that what is the ASCII character that is linked with that particular value. For example, here you can see ASCII of Alabama gave you with the value of 65. So if you pass this 65 inside this char, it give you the value as A. The next is the contains function. What this contains do is that it tries to solve whether a particular string is consisting of a substring or not. For example, you can see that here I have written interworks and interworks is basically a string. And if you want to ask it whether this interworks contains works or not, so we can see interworks is ending with this works. So it definitely contains works. So it would give you the result in a Boolean format. Either it will give you the value as true if it is correct or false if that is false. Then the next one is ends with. So when we were talking about this previous one in which it was containing that particular substring, it can be anywhere. It can be in the starting of that string, center of that string, or even the end of that string. But here, if we specifically want to know whether that string is ending with this substring, so we have to apply this ends with function. For example, let's say that I want to check where software ends with where. Since it is true, it would return me the Boolean value as true. If it was false, it would give me the value as false. The next is the find function. This find function is used to find whether a particular string contains any substring or not. For example, I want to find whether Oklahoma consists of LA or not. If it does, what is the position of that particular item? So here you can see that Oklahoma starts with O K L A H O M A. So here LA is at the third position. Since L is at the third position, it would give you the value as 3. It would try to find out where that part of substring is beginning from. So that substring begins from the third index. So it would give you the value as 3. You can also try to specify the index. Over here, if you can see that I have this example of Mississippi. And here I want to ask it whether this particular string consists of a substring which is ISS. If it does, whether it contains that after the fourth character, so it would skip the 4 characters and after the fourth character, it would try to find out the answer. If that string contains of the substring, it would give you the value from where it is starting and it would give the value of the starting only. So from wherever it is starting, it would tend to give you the result counting from this particular M as the first alphabet. Then we have the isDate function. In this isDate function, what we try to do is we try to pass the string. We don't pass the date function like order date or shipping date. We don't pass these kind of values because those are already the date type of data. We try to pass the string values. And if that string values contain the values such as any dates, that would give the result as true. And if does not contains the value as the date, it would give you the value as false. Then we have the left function. Say you have a string and you want to just extract some characters out of it. It can be the first 4 characters, first 5 characters. You want to extract it from a big string. So what you would do is you would use the left function. You would specify what is the string and then you would specify how many characters do you want to extract out of it. So here my string is cheetah and I want to extract the first 4 words out of it. So it would start with C, H, E and it would extract it and it would give me the result as CH double. Then I have the length function. This length function is very useful when you want to find the length of any string. The length of any string is the amount of words that are present in that particular string. Here, I have taken the example as Missouri. I want to find out the length of this string. So it would count all the characters that are present in this Missouri and it would return the value. The next one in the list is the lower function. Now, this lower function is used to convert any string to the lowercase format. For example, if you want to convert this tableau, which is beginning with a capital T, in the lowercase format, you can pass it inside of this lower function, and it would convert this value as the starting of small t. So small, it would start with small t, and it would go on with every word as the lowercase format. The next one is the ltrim function. This ltrim function is specifically used when you have a leading space in any of the string. Say you are doing some data entry kind of stuff and you tend to have given the spaces just before entering any kind of data, or whatever data you are having contains some extra spaces in the leading part of that string. So to trim those spaces, what you can do is you can use this ltrim function and you can pass the string inside of it. Over here, Harry contains the extra space just ahead of it. If I pass it from this ltrim function, it would that extra space. The next one is the max function. This max function is used to find the maximum out of two values. Let's say if I'm trying to find out what is the maximum value between these two functions. So over here, I have the text as apple. I have another text as banana. I want to find out which is the highest of these two texts. Now, how this highest is defined? So it is defined on the base of sequence. Also, the characters that are present inside it. So over here, since banana is the maximum out of these two, so it would give me the result as banana. The next one is the mid function. So let's say you have a big string and you want to extract some alphabets just from the middle part of that string. Let's say I want to extract some characters out of this still water. I can pass this still water inside the mid function and I want to extract some specific element. Let's say I want to start from the third place and I want to extract two elements out of it. So I know at the third place I have the element I, and if I talk about two elements, it should exclude I and after that the L element. So the result would be IL. Next, I have the minimum function. This minimum function works just opposite of the maximum function. In the maximum function, when I pass two string values, that is apple and banana, inside of that, it gave me the result as the banana because that was the maximum out of those two values. Here, it would give me the value as apple because it saw these functions. The least value would be the apple. Then I have the replace function. This replace function is very useful when you want to replace a string by any substring. So let's say I have the value as calculation and I want to take this ION out of it and I want to add ED just at the end of it, which makes the calculation calculated. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll pass this calculation inside of this replace function. I'll specify what are the elements that I want to extract and what is the replacement of that element. You can see the syntax over here. First, I have to write the string followed by the substring that I want to extract and the replacement that I want to add. Then we have the write function. This write function is used to extract the right side values. Let's say I want to extract the last 6 values out of Nebraska. So for that, what I can do is I can pass this Nebraska inside this write function and I can specify how many characters do I want to extract. Over here, I have written 6 characters I want to extract. So it would count from the right hand side. So it would count all the elements from the right hand side up to the 6 characters and it would give you the result as C. But the writing order would be obviously left to right. The 16th one is the rtrim function. As we have already looked into the ltrim function, it used to remove the leading spaces. What if you are having a string which is having some trailing spaces and you want to remove those trailing spaces? For that, you can use the rtrim function. Over here, Harry was having some spaces just ahead of it. Some were the trailing spaces. To remove these spaces, I passed it on inside the rtrim function. And as you can see in the output, the leading and the trailing spaces have gone. The leading spaces because of the ltrim function, the trailing spaces because of this rtrim function. The next one is the space function. This space function is just used to provide some additional spaces. You can give whatever number of values do you want over here inside the space. Let's say I want to give only one space. What I can do is I can pass the value 1 inside of this space and it would give me one space. If I give the value as 2, it would give me two spaces in the form of a string. Then the 18th one is the starts with function. So similar as the end with function where we were finding whether a particular string is the ending with that substring part or not. Here I can try to find out whether any string is starting with that specific substring. So to do that, what I'll do is here is a syntax. You have to specify the start with function inside of which you have to pass a string and then the substring for which you want to apply the check. Here I am taking Michigan and I want to find out whether it is starting with MIC or not. So since Michigan is starting with MIC, it would return the value as true. If it was not starting with it, it would return the value as false. The last one is the trim function. This trim function is used to trim the leading as well as trailing function. So if you have the spaces at the head of any string and at the trailing part of any string, so you don't need to apply the ltrim and rtrim function again and again. So what you can do is you can just apply this trim function and it would remove both these spaces for you. The last one is the upper function. So we have already seen how the lower function used to make the text in the lower case. If you want to convert this particular text in the uppercase format, you can pass it inside of this upper function. Over here, you can see the example. I just have to pass a string inside of this upper function, and I have passed this NASA inside of this upper function, and it has returned me the value in the form of a capitalized string. So let's go to the Tableau screen and see how these string functions work over there. So we are in our Tableau screen and we are working with the global superstore dataset over here. I have some dimensions and I have some measures over here. Now let's look at how we can make different kind of calculated fields from the help of these string functions. To make any calculated field, it is very important to first know what is that particular calculated field being applied on. So some of the calculated fields can only be applied on the top of particular say dimension. Some of them would be applied on the top of measure. So it is very important to know which one we are going to use. So the first one is the ASCII one. We know that ASCII gives us the value of a particular string. What is the string starting with? So over here, I have this subcategory option, and subcategory consists of various subcategories. I know these subcategories start with these characters. So for example, accessories start with A, appliances start with A, and these must be having some ASCII values. So to create a calculated field, what I can do is over here, you can see there is an arrow. You can click on this arrow and you can see the option for create calculated field. Click on this and now I want to go to the string type of fields. So to do that, over here I have the drop down and I can choose the string option. In the string option, the first one is the ASCII value. If you want to use this ASCII value, you can double click on. First, let me change the name of this particular calculated field. The calculated field's name right now is the calculation one. I may name it ASCII test. So after doing it, what I can do is inside of this ASCII function, I need to pass a string. So I'm not having any individual string right now. So I can pass the column subcategory inside of it. This subcategory column contains some strings in the form of different subcategory values. So let's do apply and then OK. But before that, you can see on the left hand side, it is showing me this calculation it is valid, which means this calculation won't give me an error if I try to apply it in any visualization. So let's click on apply and OK. And you can see this ASCII test has now appeared over. Since this ASCII test is coming in the form of numbers, it might happen that it might show you the sum or different kind of aggregate measures that are present in the top of it. So let me just drag this ASCII characters over here. And as you can see, it is giving me the result in the form of these charts. What it is trying to do is, since it is containing the numeric values, it is adding them up. And that's why I'm seeing this sum over here. To remove this sum, I can click on this option and I can just choose the attribute option, which would be showing me only the attributes. Then again click on this arrow and choose discrete instead of continuous value. This would change your result to be discrete as well as it would be showing in the attribute format. Here you can see accessories start with A, that's why the ASCII value for that is 65. And binders start with B, that's why the ASCII value is 66. And as we tend to increase, the ASCII value also increases. Now, next one is the char. So to do that, I'll again go in this calculated field option. Here I'll choose the string option. This one I'm going to give name as char test. Here I can double click on char and I want to pass an integer inside of it. Since we have already created a ASCII test calculated field, it contains of different values which are integers. So what if I try to find out what is that integers ASCII value in the form of alphabets? So here I can give the field value as ASCII test, and you can see it has already started giving some suggestions. So I can go in the ASCII test with the help of the down arrow and I can press tab. It would take that value. It is showing me this calculation is valid. Since it is a text-based information, that's why it is showing me the dimensions. So I can drag and drop this over here and you can see it is showing me the characters. So 65's ASCII value belongs to A, 66 ASCII value belongs to B, and as we try to move forward with these ASCII values, we tend to find the characters that are associated with these ASCII values. The next one is the contains. So let me remove these two and let's try to find out if these particular elements contain some substring or not. So let's say I want to find out whether this element, since you can see that appliances contains p 2 times. So let's try to find out if this particular string contains p 2 times or not, and what is the result that we are getting just ahead of other substrings. So for that, I go in this create calculated field, I'll go in string, and here I choose contains. This time I'm going to give it name as contains test. You can try to give any kind of name, that is not an issue. And inside of this contains, if I click over here and if I try to write anything, it would give me some suggestions. It is trying to ask me that what is the string and what is the substring that you want to give a check on. So for the string, I'll pass subcategory, comma, and for substring, I try to find out whether it contains double P or not. So since we are providing double P in the format of a string, it's very important that you keep it inside the quotes. Here I'll click on apply, okay, and I track this value over here, and it gives me the value in the form of true or false. Whatever values would be containing double P would keep giving me the value as true. As you can see, appliances contains double P as well as supplies contain double P. So it is giving me the value as true. The rest of the others are giving me the value as false. And since it contains the Boolean values, here you can see just ahead of this contains test, it is giving me the data type as true or false. That is the Boolean value. The next one is the ends with. So ends with is used to find out whether a string is ending with a particular substring or not. So let's say I have different type of subcategories and I can see many of these ends with es. So let's create a calculated field to find out. So I'll go and create calculated field. Here I'll choose the string as ends with, and I can give the name as ends with test. In string, I'll provide the subcategory as string, comma, I'll provide es to find out whether it is ending with es or not. I can click on apply, okay. And as I'll track this result over here, it would give me the Boolean values of whether that particular string is ending with es or not. So you can see the values are in the Boolean, and that's why it gives you true or false over here and true or false over here also. So whatever values are ending with yes, it would give you the value as true, else it would give the value as false. And now let's try to find out whether any kind of substring is there in a string or not. To that, what I'll do is I'll try to do find function. So again, I go in the create calculated field option. Here I'll choose a string function, choose the find option, and here it would ask me whether a particular string, which is the subcategory, contains any substring. Let's say it contains AG or not, and I can just close it. I don't need to provide any starting point. If you want to provide any starting point, you can do it. Else you can leave it as blank also. Here it shows me that this calculation is valid. You can click on apply and OK. I forget to give the name to it. So it is showing me the value as calculation 1. Let's try to rename it. To do the rename and the changes in this particular calculated field, what you can do is just ahead of this calculated field, there is this arrow. Click on it. You can choose the edit option. And here you will find the option to edit this calculated field as well as renaming it. So it is a find test. Find test. Click on apply and OK. And I'll just clean this screen and try to bring this find test just ahead of. Now, since this value would be in the form of numbers, that's why it is doing the sum of these numbers as well as it will be giving the value in the continuous form. To change it, what I can do is I can click on this arrow. Here I can choose the value as discrete, and instead of sum, I can choose the attribute option. And over here, you can see AG is only present in the storage at the 5th place. So it is starting from the 5th place. That's why it is giving me the value as 5. All the other strings are not having AG. That's why the value is coming as 0. So only the value would be shown if it is containing that part. So this part is also successful. Now, the next is the ISDATE function. So as I've already told you, ISDATE function is applied on top of any string which is containing date, but it should not be applied to this shipping date or order date. It would not give me any kind of result. So let's try to find out a different kind of calculated field. So let me say that I want to create a string type field. I want to use ISDATE and I want to use it on the top of subcategory because I know subcategory does not contain any kind of date, right? I can give it the name as ISDATE test. And over here, you can see the value is coming in the form of true or false because it is giving a check. So I can drag and drop it over here and you can see all the values are false because they do not contain any kind of date. If it was containing any kind of date in the text format, it would give you the value as true, else false. Let's clear this screen. Now, let's talk about some different functions to extract the values. Let's say I want to extract left side value. I want to see the length. I want to extract the right side value. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll create a calculated field. And this time, let's say I'll extract the product names. So I want to extract the first 10 alphabets of a product. To do that, I'll go in this create calculated field. I'll choose this left function. And this time I'm choosing the product name. So choose a product name, comma, the number of characters that you want to extract. So I want to extract the 10 characters out of every product name. So this one is the left check or left test. And I can drag and drop this over here. You can see the product names are given on the left hand side, and whatever elements I wanted to extract, it has now extracted. So I want to extract the first 10 alphabets of that particular product. So it has now extracted those. If you want to do it with the help of the right side, you can do it. Again, you have to go in the create calculated field, go in the string functions and choose the right. So here I have this right. Again, I choose this product name, comma, the number of characters I want 10 from the right hand side. Here I'm giving the name as right test. Click on apply, okay, and drag and drop this right over here. And you can see the last 10 elements are now coming over here. So this is the way in which you can extract left side elements and the right side elements. Now, what if I want to see how many characters are present in this product name? Let's say this product name is too big to fit everywhere. It is 1.7 cubic foot compact cube office refrigerator, and this is a very big name. If I want to see what is the length of this particular product name, so it would be very easier for me to find out what is the maximum capacity I have to keep in the database for keeping these product names. So let's say to find out that, I'll create another calculated field. This time I'm going with the length function. Here in the string, I choose this length function. And inside of this length function, I write product name. And over here, I can write length check. Drag and drop this over here. And since it is a numerical value, it gives the result in the form of the sum. So I have to change it from sum to the attribute, and then from continuous value to the discrete value. And you can see the total length of words that are present in the product name are 50, 88, 49. This 88 is fairly big name. And you can see over here, indeed, it is a very big name. And this all comprises of the spaces in between also, as well as the special characters. So this is one of the way in which you can try to find out the length of a character. Now, let's say if you want to find out what is the lowercase of that particular product name, uppercase of that product name, so you can also do it. Let's say I want to find out the lowercase format. So here you can go in the string part, you can choose the lower, and again you can pass on any string. I'm passing on the product names. This would be known as the lowercase test. I'll drag this values over here, and you can see now all values are in the lowercase. Previously, it was capital C, capital F. Now all these have been converted into the lowercase. If I want to convert everything in the uppercase, I'll again click on this arrow, go in the create calculated fields. This time I'm writing uppercase test. I'll choose the string function. I'll make it as upper one. Here I'll pass the string of product name, apply, okay, and I'll just find out what is the uppercase format of this. So every text that is present in the product name has now been converted into the uppercase format, you can see. So this is one of the way in which you can play with strings. And here you can see I have applied multiple functions on the top of it. The reason for extending this lecture and making the use of many calculated fields over here was just to make you familiar with the syntax that is present. So the syntax is fairly simple. Whenever you are trying to make any calculated field, let's say if you want to make this calculated field, it would give you the suggestions that what is the value it is expecting you to provide. Right now it is telling me it wants me to provide a number. So you have to provide any number, or you have to provide any field which contains a number. So this is one of the ways in which you can try to create different kind of calculated fields. And there are multiple other calculated fields as well on which you can try some hands-on. In the next session, we will be meeting with the number functions in Tableau and how to create the calculated fields with the help of these number functions. Thank you.